All right. Let's go here. Slideshow. Hello, my name is DeAndre Jackson, and we will be discussing the Lenoir-Rhyne women's soccer data, interpreting the athlete dashboard. So let's begin. We're going to start off with athlete number 1. All right, first off, we have monotony. As you can tell, monotony is above 1.5, and this makes it very difficult for the athlete to recover. Monotony does not drop hardly at all. And within the acute to chronic ratio, we see between 914 and 919, the training is really low. It's like the athlete is in a detraining mode. And then later on, we see spikes here on 1021. We see a very big spike. So I'd go to the coach and say the data suggests that this athlete needs to take a day off or go light. Athlete number 2, the effect size. There is great volume that the athlete is doing all throughout these dates. Okay, on 9/8, there's a big stimulus, and then there's a drop off period of almost detraining, and then there's another big stimulus, and you can see this pattern keeps occurring on. So on these days of the big spikes, I would tell the coach, hey, this athlete has went really hard, maybe in a game training session, and they need to take the day off, which looks like the coach listens to very well. Also, the monotony for athlete 2, it stays right at 1.5 and also goes above, slightly dips below, mainly stays above. If we put a trend line on this, the monotony would trend upwards. For athlete 3, same thing again. This is a trend with this team. Monotony, it wants to stay around above or around 1.5. This is not good. This does not allow recovery for the athletes. Okay. Also, the stress. This athlete is very stressed. Okay. They break the upper limit 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times with a great spike. This one here, I would say there's maybe conference game, maybe finals coming up soon at the end of the semester. And athlete 4, also very stressed out. They break the upper limit multiple times and with very big spikes. Okay, this is not good. You might want to go to the coach. I'd go to the coach and say, hey, the data suggests that athlete 4 is very stressed out. You need to talk with them and see what you can do to help them. Maybe go see the counselor. Also, the acute to chronic ratio, there's a very big spike around 1021. I think this is around midterms. They might be stressed, maybe a very hard game. Also, they are below the lower limit for about a week or two, and I would ask the coach, hey, maybe this athlete is trending in like a detraining session. Maybe let's get them a harder practice session in, or hope maybe put them in a game. Athlete 5, okay, acute to chronic ratio. Also, in the very beginning, for almost 13 days, they're in a detraining period. Okay, and then the data moves up, bounces around, boom, and then boom, we have a huge spike that stays above the upper limit for about a week. And I would go to the coach and say, hey, data suggests your athlete has been above the AC ratio for about a week now, and they need a lighter day or a day off really soon, or they might be injured. Also, athlete 5, sleep quality. Their sleep quality is very poor. Okay, this is the hours of sleep, so they're getting around 8, what they should be maybe twice all semester. This is not good. We need to have a discussion with it. Athlete 5 and tell them, ask them what's keeping them up late at night. Is it homework? Maybe their grades are falling behind. Athlete number 6, once again, monotony making its way up on the charts. It's staying above 1.5. This is not good. Once again, you need monotony. You need variation in your training. Okay, if you're not allowing for recovery and adaptations to be made, then you're going to be training your athlete towards injury. Also, acute to chronic ratio. There's a very low spike on 10, 8, 19. the athlete must have not done anything for about 3 days. They probably took the weekend completely off, okay? And then once again, for this span, we're trending upwards and breaking the upper limit. So I'd go to the coach. Data suggests that your athlete number 6 is trending above the upper limit of the AC ratio, and they need to take a period off, some time off, maybe light. Athlete number 7. Athlete 7 is stressed. As you can see here, this is trending upwards. Okay, if I was to put a line here, it would go straight through here, just up, up, and up, up, up. And this right here, between this point and here, the athlete is extremely stressed. Okay, this is probably from midterms. Maybe they're falling behind in classes. Maybe they just played in the game and their stress levels are really high. We need to intervene, and I'd go to the coach and say, "Hey, coach, athlete. The data suggests athlete 7 is very stressed out. You need to find out. They're trending upwards. We need to find out what the problem is and get them help." Athlete number 8, stress, same thing, trending upwards. Okay, the effect size, they've got some high volume days going, breaking the upper limit about 4 times in the semester. When you go to coach, "Hey coach, athlete 8 is trending up, on their stress. Hey, they're breaking the effect size, the upper limit. The volume is really high. We need to give them some time off." And you see the coach does that with their with the data here. Athlete 9. Okay, athlete 9's fatigue levels are pretty low, so we need to get them in a game. I'd say, "Hey coach, athlete number 9, they might not be a starter, but hey, let's try to get them some more playing time to get their to get growth and adaptations to occur, okay?" Also, I feel like the acute to chronic ratio also reflects that this athlete may not be getting as much stimulus or playing time because they seem to be in a period of below the lower limit of in the detraining for quite some time. And then you also have a spike above the upper limit right here around 10:20 to 10:24. Maybe they did get in the game and did really well. So let's go to athlete 10. We've got really big spikes on the effect size, on the volume of training. Here, the athlete needs to take some time off. As you can see, that happens, and then boom, another stimulus applied. That is good, but let's try to contain. I would go to the coach and say, "Hey, your athlete, whenever they break the upper limit, athlete 10, they're going a little too extreme. Okay, let's try to bring it back down towards the normal ranges." Also, athlete 10's stress level is through the roof. I feel like this athlete is struggling not only on the field, but in other places of life too. Maybe grades, finances. They could be a cocktail mixture of everything. But athlete 10 needs to see a counselor. I'll go to the coach myself and say, "Hey, athlete 10, they need to see a counselor because they've been above the upper limit of stress level from almost the very beginning of this semester." Soreness, athlete 11, they've got a really huge spike right here about midway. Some stimulus happened to where they became really sore. Maybe it was just a very extreme tough game for them. Maybe they had to play a whole game. I'm not really sure, but I'd go to the coach and say, "Hey, your athlete 11 had a really rough day yesterday, and they need some time off." Because you can see they get really sore, and then it drops back down, and then they're hanging around this upper limit, which is not good. Your soreness does not need to hang around the upper limit, okay? That does not allow for adaptations to be made. Also, the effect size. We got some peaks here, multiple of them. We got 3, 5, 6. Okay, I need to go to the coach and be like, "Hey coach, data suggests athlete 11, they're touching the upper limit of the effect size, the volume. They're getting a lot of volume, okay? Maybe let's try to back it down and save them, okay?" Athlete 12, monotony. It's above 1.5 the entire time, okay? I need to go to coach immediately. Athlete 12, the training is monotonous, okay? We have monotonous training here. This will not let the athlete get better, okay? This is only a negative. This is not good, okay? Also, athlete 12 is stressed. They're hanging around this upper limit and breaking it twice right here, okay, for quite some time. This looks like about a week or two. Okay, maybe grades are bad. Once again, I'm not really sure, but I'm going to go to coach and tell him, hey, athlete 12, monotony is up there and they're stressed. Athlete 13, they've got a bad, they're in a bad mood, okay? They're breaking the upper limit, and I'd go to coach and be like, hey, I don't think athlete 13, they seem to be a little down, they're breaking the upper limit for quite some time, okay? For about 3/4 of the semester, their mood has been reported as negative, breaking the upper limit. Also, their acute to chronic ratio, they have a huge spike on 10/21. I'm seeing this as a trend with these athletes that something big happened around 10/20, 10/21. Maybe there was a conference game that day. Maybe it was first round of playoffs, but something happened really major that day. Athlete 14, we've got monotony once again for a very long time at 1.5 and above. Okay, the training drops off right here. I'm thinking this might be a maybe a break, maybe spring break, not spring break, maybe Thanksgiving break, fall break. We've got some break right here, but once athletes get back on campus, it remains at 1.5 and then falls off as the semester ends. I'd go to the coach and be like, hey, there's a trend with all of your athletes that they need some time off, okay? Also, there's soreness. If I was to put a trend line on this, they would be at or above the upper limit on soreness. We do not need this, okay? We need spikes, we need stimulus, and then we need some recovery for the athletes to actually maintain. Now, they're not going to get better per se in season, but at least maintain. Athlete 15, boom, big spike. This is also a trend I've seen in other athletes. Something happened early on. Maybe there was a preseason training session that happened early on in the semester. Maybe recording some numbers or something. But there seems to be a trend early on in the semester that is driving up the volume and effect size on multiple different athletes. And also monotony here. You can see it hanging around and at or above 1.5 majority of the semester. Athlete 16, monotony, same thing, almost looks identical to athlete 15. Okay, once again, we've got to go and talk to the coach and say, hey coach, the data suggests monotony. You've got to change it. You got to have variation in your training. The effect size, we've got one huge spike right here around 9:18. I go to coach, hey, athlete needs some time off. Maybe they had a big game. They played hard. Let's try to sub someone in for them. Athlete 17, okay, they've got some huge fatigue right here, and then it just drops off. Okay, they're at the limit, and then it drops off big. Go to coach and say, hey, maybe let's throw athlete 17 in the game a little bit and give the other players a rest. Athlete 18 has no data. Athlete 19, fatigue, once again, trending upward towards the upper limit. AC ratio, period of detraining here. They're going overreaching in this area, a period of detraining right here. They're maintaining, overreaching once again, and they're falling back off. I go to coach and be like, hey, your athlete's breaking the upper limit on their acute to chronic ratio. Let's maybe give them a little break, sub some different players in. Athlete 20, no data. Athlete 21, soreness, okay? This looks pretty normal for me. I really wouldn't intervene on this one. This was the only data that the athlete 21 had. Athlete 22, way too long period of detraining. I'd go to coach and be like, hey, we need to put athlete 22 in a game because they are in a detraining mode immediately. The effect size, they're at and break the upper limit of the effect size multiple times. I'd go to coach and be like, hey, we've got to give them some time off. Athlete 23, the fatigue looks pretty normal. Wouldn't intervene there. It does break the upper limit here and trend upward there, but I think we did a good job there. Once again, athlete 24, throw them in a game. Hey coach, athlete 24 needs some playing time. 25, stress level looks to be normal. Wouldn't intervene there. 26, looks pretty normal. Stress is trending upward. I'd go to coach and have an intervention with them. This sleep quality, athlete 27, looks pretty good. Hey, coach, athlete 27 is doing good. And Anna, I think she's doing good. She had an injury. But thank you for your time. That was my internet dashboard.